So today's lesson is a review of simplifying fractions. So I'm going to help you with 5 problems, and then you're going to have a worksheet to do independently for a grade. Remember, all of this information is review, and something helpful that you probably need to fish out of your blue folder is your factor book. Your factor book that we made back in the fall will help you find those common factors if you're not able to find them on your own. Remember, all answers will need to be in the most simplified form, which is their lowest term name. Let's get started with a couple of examples. So the first example that I want to give you would be the fraction, let's do 8 tenths. 8 tenths. So what you would do is you would think about, well, what are the common things that 8 and 10 share? So if I go back to my factor book and I look up the number 8 and I think about the factors that we have for the number 8, which I may not have them in this book, those numbers would be 1, 2, 4, and 8. And then if I think about the numbers for 10, so I would write those 1, 2, 4, and 8. And then I think about the factors for 10, which are 1, 2, 5, and 10. I'm going to write those down here, 1, 2, 5, and 10. What I want to do is circle the largest number that they share. This is the greatest common factor. Remember when we talked about the GCF? The GCF is the greatest common factor that 2 numbers share. Oop, I left out the word common. Common factors. So we're looking for the greatest common factor, which would be the number 2. So I'm going to circle that. Once I realize it's the number 2, and some of you may be able to do this in your head, you would divide the top number, the numerator, by 2 and the denominator by 2. And then you would be able to get a much smaller name, which would be 4 fifths. 4 fifths is your lowest term answer. And I know that because 4 and 5 are consecutive numbers, and consecutive numbers are in lowest terms. Let's try another one. Let's try 8 over 24. We want to simplify that. So if I go back to my factor book and I think about the factors for 8, which are 1, 2, 4, and 8, and I look up the number 24 in my factor book, and I think about those factors being a lot, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, and 24. I don't have to write all of those down, but I can quickly compare and see that they both share 4, but they also both share the number 8. So if I divide the top number by 8 and the bottom number by 8, I will be able to get a much smaller fraction name. So 8 divided by 8 is going to be 1, and 24 divided by 8 is going to give me 3. And that is my smaller name for this. Okay? Alright, let's try one more that looks like this. So our number is going to be 5 over 45. 5 45ths. So if I think about my factors for 5 and I go back and look at my factor book, those factors are 1 and 5. If I think about my factors for 45, if I flip over to my book, I should have the number 45 in here. Flipping quickly. Those numbers are 1, 3, 5, 9, 15, and 45. So the largest number that they share looks to be the number 5. So that if I divide the numerator by 5 and the denominator by 5, I'm going to get a smaller fraction name, which will be 1/9. 1/9 is going to be my smaller fraction name.